Hello everyone, this is Potthoff from Prayerful Arts, and today I'm going to do something a little different. I am going to demonstrate two different things. One is how I apply wax to an egg, and the other is what do you do if your Kistka gets plugged? That is one of the most frustrating things when your Kistka, you know it's hot and the wax isn't coming out. What do you do about that? So I'm going to show you some things I do and some things that I know other people do too. I'll talk about some, I'll demonstrate some. But anyway, we're going to get started with how I write wax, how my process for doing it. So I have two eggs here, and I've drawn a very simple 48 triangle pattern on it. But that's just because that's easy for me to do in this demonstration. What I'm showing you, you would do on any pattern. And what I would say is when you are applying wax to the egg, you do what is most comfortable for you. And we'll talk about that a little bit more here in just a minute. So let's get started. I have, you can't see it, but off to the side here are my Kistkas. And these are all the Luba electrics. Medium, fine, extra fine, and super fine. I have them written on there, and these are on, they're hot. So I'm going to start with, sorry, I have to scoot up to the desk. I am going to start with a medium. So this is the medium, and I wrap the cord around my wrist like that. And the reason I do that is my cords are coming up from the floor. Your cords may be coming in a different direction, but I do that so it doesn't pull so much on my wrist. So it's kind of this part of my arm is messing with the cord, and it keeps it a little bit more under control. That's what works for me. Again, you have to decide what will work best for you. Now, when I teach, I tend to use this, and this is called spaghetti wax. I get this from Ukrainian gift shop. It comes in a pack like this. A pack will last a really long time. The reason I use it for teaching is because it's less messy than using a cake of wax. And it's beeswax. It's been dyed black so that you see it in the electric Kistka. Because when you're using the candle heated one, let me adjust the light there. When you're using the candle heated one, the carbon from the candle will turn your beeswax, so this was natural beeswax, it will turn it black so you can see it when you put it on the egg. But you don't get that carbon effect with the electric, obviously, so you have to have some other means to see it. And there are other colors of wax. This is a black wax. I have no idea where I got this. This is a white wax that I got from Pysanky, USA. This is a blue wax that I got from Ukrainian Accessories. And I know that both Ukrainian Accessories and Pysanky, USA have other colors of wax that you can use. I have seen people use the Pysanky, USA blue wax, and it writes very nicely. But they all write nicely. You want to make sure your wax is beeswax because it melts at a consistent temperature. So when I draw lines on my egg, I'm going to fill this with wax. I'm just going to use this one. And I'll show you how I do it with the other ones in just a minute. And you saw how easy that was to do that. Again, that's why I use it for teaching. And then I always wipe it off, because no matter what happens, you're going to get something running down the side of it. So when I draw, I tend to draw away from me. It helps me draw a straighter line. I also hold mine like a pencil. And sometimes I touch the metal because I tend to hold it right next to the metal. The other way I've seen people hold it is like this. So it's pencil or toothbrush. And it's really whatever gives you the best control, what is most comfortable to you. To me, there's really no right or wrong way. Play around with it. Get an egg that has a bunch of bumps and scratches, or maybe one that's broken, and try different ways of holding the Kistka and how it feels most comfortable to you. I will tell you in all honesty that I have to be careful because holding it like this, I tend to like really pinch it tight, and then I'll feel it down in this part of my wrist. So that's something I need to be conscious of. One, because I broke this wrist about 30 years ago when I thought I was a teenager and went ice skating and fell. So here you see me drawing away from me, and this Kistka had some blue wax in it, so it's not exactly coming out dark, but you can see it kind of coming out. And I also find that with the lubas, you want to hold it sort of straight up and down, and you don't really want to press on it. You want to give it a little room for the wax to flow out. I do try to draw as much of a line as I can, and I am sort of okay. Yeah, don't do that. Don't let the egg slip out of your hand. I do try to draw one continuous line as much as I can, and you can see I'm kind of turning it as I put the wax on it. Okay. Now, as long as I did that, let's talk about how do you fix things like that. Wow, talk about a learning lesson today. Okay, it's not here. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so you can use these. This is a manicure cleanup pen, and I use that, and I got these. They're little plastic razor blades. And if you've ever seen me with an X-Acto knife, you know why I use these plastic. But you could use an X-Acto blade too. Kind of scrape it off. And then I use this, and I kind of go over the area. And then I'll wipe it off with a tissue. And then hopefully that will have corrected for what I did there. Yeah, do as I say, not as I do. All right. Okay, we're going to draw this line now, and you can kind of see, yeah, it's still coming out. I will say that this wax sometimes can be hard to see on certain colors. And if I ever have a big area where I'm filling things in, I will look at it under a magnifying glass. So again, kind of, I draw away from me. I look to where I want to go. And then on these really long lines, I'm turning the egg and the Kistka kind of at the same time. Again, this is what works for me. You have to determine what works best for you. So we're going to finish up that line. Okay. Well, as long as we're here, we'll go ahead and draw the equator line. And you probably, I don't know how well those lines show up on the camera, but I can see them. And you can see that, you know, sometimes the wax isn't as dark, but as long as it's not really thin, it's on there. And, you know, the only time you want to make sure you've got a really good line is if you're going to do something like an etching or something. But it doesn't take much wax to get on there. And the other thing, you know, when I did that, where I made the little, I don't even know where it was now, in my class, people will say, oh, I scraped it off with my fingernail, it's gone. I'm telling you, it's not gone. It's not gone until you use something like this manicure pen, or you can use Goo Gone, or you can use mineral spirits, you need to do something to go over that area, because just scraping with your fingernail, you 99.9% sure you did not get it all. It just doesn't come off that easily. All right, so I've drawn that. Now let's try using one of the colored waxes. I can't really use the white because it won't show up on the egg. The reason I use the white is whenever I'm doing the stained glass effect on an egg where the egg has been dyed black, you have to use a white wax so you can see it on the black egg. It's really hard to see this color on a black when the egg is black. It's really hard to see where your lines are. Okay, so I'm going to use this, and it's like a sheet, and this is how I put it in. I just kind of hold it here and I let it melt in just like that. And if you're ever not sure how the wax is going to write, I usually keep with me here at my workstation some like a egg that's cracked or something, so I can test a line on that before I put it on an egg. So you can always do that. Okay, so we're gonna, now this is the fine tip. So let's see. I don't usually switch Kistkas in between. Well, maybe I'll do it on this one instead. Okay, so again, drawing it. Let's see. There was wax in it that I tried to get out, so it's kind of showing up dark right now, but it is a lovely blue color once the blue starts coming out. And the blue wax from Pysanky USA is a really pretty blue, and it's very, very visible on the lighter colors, the white and yellow. The blue wax is hard to see if the egg's been dyed blue. And I know that makes a lot of sense, but I didn't think about it and used the blue wax when the egg was dyed blue, and it was hard to see it. And afterwards I thought, well, that was kind of obvious, but I just didn't think about it. I guess I didn't get all the wax out of it. Okay, well, let's see if it'll keep working. Anyway, and so I don't think you have to get all the wax out of the egg. When I'm done writing Pysanky for the day, I just turn off my Kistkas and leave them like that. I probably should put something over the top of them so that they don't get dust in them, but because they're hot, I don't. And as a result, sometimes they get plugged and they don't write real nice, or they don't write at all. And this one must have had more of the dark wax in it than I thought, because it's not coming out blue. Okay, it's kind of starting to change blue, but I don't know that it's showing up on the camera. And I'm going to finish going around this egg. And then I'm going to talk about what happens when your Kistka isn't writing. Okay. So there we've got those two. And that you kind of saw how I put the wax on it. I hope that helps. I do that the same, even if I'm using the candle heated. I tend to draw away from me, and but I'm obviously, there's no cord to wrap around my hand, but I do hold it the same way. If I am using my candle heated, I'm holding it like that. All right, so let's say okay, you can kind of see that this wax, I don't know, can you see it? This wax is more blue than this wax. Okay, so now what I'd like to demonstrate is how do you clean your Kistka? If it's not coming, the wax is not coming out, what are some of the things that you can do? So I have over here, I keep these little food tray things here. Actually, I usually have more stuff than this in it, but I took out the other stuff so I could find these quickly. I keep like little plugs. I keep that little razor thing in it, some extra lead and things like that. But what I have in here are some different things you can use to clean your Kistka. One of the things you can use are cleaning wires. So these are the cleaning wires from Ukrainian gift shop. These are cleaning wires that I got from Ukrainian accessories, and they come in 2 different sizes. So one is for the extra fine and extra fine, and then this is for all the other sizes. And this one here from Ukrainian gift shop works on all the sizes of their Kistkas. Pysanky USA also has cleaning wires too. I just don't happen to have any here. The last time I had some from them, the wire had a piece of like tape wrapped around it so that you could find it, which is why these from Ukrainian gift shop are called wire on a stick, because there is a wire on the end of the stick so that you can find the wire. One of the things you can do if your Kistka quits working is use this or any type of wire, but you want to go into your Kistka from the bottom. So I'm going to try to do this and keep my head out of the camera. No promise. You know what? I'm going to move these eggs back. Okay. So I go in from the bottom. Oops. And yeah, it's not real easy. And I'm doing this in the front. Okay, there it is. Okay. So you go in and you kind of move it around, and what will happen is dust will collect, because this is wax, dust will collect in it, and the dust tends to fall to the bottom. So doing this, if there's wax, dust, like a dust bunny in there, it'll come up on the end as a blob. And then I take a tissue and I wipe it off. The other, so that's one reason your Kistka could not be working. The other thing that I've had happen to me is that sometimes when I fill it with wax, the top will be dome shaped, and that means there's a air bubble in there. So this again will also break up the air bubble. And if you use these wires, you do the same thing. You just go in through the bottom. The reason you don't go through the top is, first off, you'll probably bend your wire, and then it's really hard to use. Also, you could splatter wax everywhere. This one, when you do take the wire out, you could get a little bit of wax come out. So just don't do it over the top of your eggs like I just did. But this way, because if that clog is down here in the bottom and you're doing this, going in this way, all you're really doing is pushing that clog further down there. You're not helping the matter. Now, but there is a way that you can do something from the top. These are dental picks, and these are they're called barbed brooches. And I bought these online, and they're just, I've been told they're a dental tool. I hope I never have this used on me. These things look really wicked, and now I can't get a new one out. Okay, I got it out. These are really sharp, so be careful with them. But with these, what you can do, you can go in from the top, because they're probably this is the white one. is the smallest one I found they made. And it is too big to go through the bottom. But what you can do with it is put it in from the top and kind of swirl it around. And then you pull it out. Of course, there's none on there because let me see. Let me try this one. Okay, I'm going to swirl it around and pull it out. And I don't know if you can see it. I have terrible lighting in here today. There's some goo on the end of it, which meant there was dust in there. And so this has little barbs on it, and it's catching the wax. So then once you get that wax on there, you kind of have to, and you do have to clean it off. It doesn't come off really easily. Let me try it again on this one. Okay, there's a little bit on that one too. So these help clean out. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll use the wire to kind of push the clog out from the bottom, and then I'll use this to go in and get it out of there. So that these are two different types of tools you can use to clean out your Kistka. The other thing I have seen people do, I have not done this, but I have seen people do it, is they will empty it all out. So however you want to do that, we'll just say, just turn it upside down, tap it out, right like that. And then they have used paraffin, which melts at a much lower temperature, and it kind of cleans it out. It all comes out of there. Or what I was just given when I attended Potter was soy wax. And I got this Linda Hupert soy wax. It feels kind of greasy, but we're going to try it. So I'm going to put it in here and see what happens. Okay. It is kind of really just coming, it's clear, so it's really hard to see, but it's really just, it's kind of really flowing out of this. Okay, I'm going to dump it out that way now too. Now, when you put something like this in there, if you don't get it all the way cleaned out, remember, you're going to have some of that in there if you start putting your beeswax in there. So, do your best to get it all out of there. I don't like to put things like Q-tips in there because that fuzz will get in there too. So you don't want to do that. But that's one way. Or the other thing people will use is paraffin. And you get that like at the hobby store, or you can get it in the canning section of like a Walmart or someplace like that. And it's pretty inexpensive. And you don't need a lot of it, because hopefully Kistka is not going to clog up that much. The other thing that really helps is to not only keep your Kistkas covered when you're not using them, but to not let your wax get like this. This wax has really been abused, and I don't know, it's like dirty on the outside. So whenever I use this, it kind of gets clogged up, and it's my own fault because it's dirty. This one I tend to keep in the bag it came in, and so it doesn't get quite as bad. So you do that. The other thing you could use is a wax melter, where it melts the wax, and so if there are any impurities in it, like dust in that, they'll fall to the bottom, and you're kind of scooping the wax in it with your Kistka. You do need quite a bit of wax to do that. So I know Natalie Kitt has a lot of videos on Instagram where she shows using a wax melter, and that works really well for her. So you have to find out, again, what works for you and what what doesn't. There's no right or wrong way. It's whatever works best for you. So let's see what happens now when I try to draw some lines with this. Oh, I should have used one of the colors. Oh well, too late now. Okay, let's go with, I think this was the one. You know, there must have been blue wax in this, because this one looks bluer than that one, and this was the one I did with the medium. Okay, so let's try some. Yeah, see this, the other wax is still in there because it's coming out very clear. Now it's in there, so it's on the egg, and now I'm starting to see it, the color change. If you've done all that and your Kistka is still not working, and it's an electric one, the other thing, and you could do this first too, is you want to make sure that you're getting enough current coming to your Kistka. And I don't know what the right numbers are, and it might be different depending on the country you're located in. But if you have, like I have 4 Kistkas plugged into a power strip that is on the floor, and then that power strip is plugged into the wall socket. If I had that power strip plugged into another power strip, it wouldn't work as well. So you want to make sure you have the good power strip, you know, a good heavy duty power strip, and a good, if you do have to use an extension cord, that you've got a good heavy duty extension cord, just so you're getting the right amount of current into your Kistka, because sometimes you don't get enough current in there, and then your Kistka, it might get hot enough to melt the wax, but then it'll look melted, but it won't come out, and that's why. Okay, now this has stopped working, so let's try this again and see what happens. The other thing you can do is kind of put it on a tissue. Now this is a little different because I'm still having that soy in there. I didn't know it was going to stay in there that long. This is, I have to see what happens with it. Okay, well, let's see what happens here. It's writing again. Okay, and I'm starting to be able to see the wax again too. And I can't stress it enough. There's more than one way to do this, and really experiment around, see what works best for you. These are some of the things that I try. If it doesn't work for you and something else does that I haven't mentioned, that's wonderful. Share it in the comments what works with you, so we can all learn from each other. I'll just keep playing around with these and see how they end up, and maybe post a picture at the end. Be interesting to see how well this soy wax stayed on the egg in the dye process. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.